Berlin enthusiast. Welcome to the GreenMe Berlin podcast. This is where I go out and chat to Berlin's coolest creators, founders and free spirits of all those unique eco-minded projects in the capital. Or simply those who are trying to make the city even more beautiful, livable and fun for everyone. I do my very best to extract their stories, secrets and passions to help you get lots and lots of inspiration of what you can do and experience in this magical city and how we can all shake the world a little bit. Super glad to have you with me on this journey. Now let's go green in this urban jungle. And remember, always be prepared to be amazed. Happy Friday, fellow changemaker! A warm welcome to session number 9 of the GreenMe Berlin podcast. Ugh, a warm is desperately needed here right now. It's been snowing in Berlin this week, in the middle of April. That, my friends, drives me even more to do the best that I possibly can to stop climate change and help keeping this planet healthy. But when I think about this dedicated social entrepreneur duo that I'm introducing you to today, my heart's instantly getting much warmer. I cannot wait to share the story of Conflictfood with you. It's through one single ingredient that's grown in a global crisis region that they're opening our eyes for a different story about countries like Afghanistan or Palestine, a story that media don't tell. And you know, this morning I actually listened to an audiobook. It's called The Book of Joy, and it's written by the Dalai Lama and the South African Archbishop Desmond Tutu. And they talk about how the media only tell what's unusual. The fact that most people in the world are generous and kind and loving and good is nothing unusual. It's the norm. But that would be too boring to write about. And so, of course, the only thing that we see in the media are stories about terror and that tiny part of humanity that is still doing bad. And unfortunately, I don't have time to go into more detail about that here now, but we'll definitely put you the link in the show notes because I just think it's incredible inspiration. But coming back to what today's episode is actually about, this interview with Conflictfood really touched me, because it deeply links to what I believe in. They show us another side of the world. They tell us positive stories of joy and lust for life. That stuff that's too boring for the other media, but actually is not boring at all. That's why I'm not gonna let you wait any longer. Here are Salem and Gernot from Conflictfood. Hey, what's up everyone? I'm so happy to welcome Salem and Gernot, the founders of one of the most incredible social startups in Berlin.
Thank you.
So good to have you on the show today. How are you?
Fine, thanks.
Fine?
Great, thank you very much.
Awesome. I'm super stoked to talk to you today. Your work is so aligned with the things I believe in most in terms of how food and a positive mindset can really change something out there. And I have so many questions. I think we could talk for hours, but I try my best to keep it down to the essentials. And yeah, I remember I first got aware of Conflictfood in the uprun of the Stadtland Food Festival here in Berlin last October, 2016. Yeah. And I read about you in their program and went to your website. And guys out there, please check out this website. It's so beautifully made and totally gets you into the scene of what Conflictfood is all about. As always, I put any links that we mentioned here in the show notes, which you can then find on greenmeberlin.com/podcast-conflictfood. Anyway, I knew if I want to see one thing at Stadtland Food, it's you. And I arrived and you both, you had your stands outside and were doing all kinds of delicious things with frike, grain from Palestine. And everything was sold out already. And people were totally drawn to you and your brand and what you do. And I just thought, how amazing. Like, was that kind of a big thing for you as well, to be there at this event and have the interaction with the people there, or?
Well, it was a lot of work. But yes, it was a big thing. So we have been to Stadtland Food for 3 days and it was really amazing. So we were a bit overwhelmed and very impressed that it was really successful. And we've had wonderful visitors and customers, and it was a nice, very nice setting and happening.
Yeah, that was my feeling too. And yeah, I mean, earlier that year, you also won the Next Organic Startup Award. Was that pretty much the moment when you knew, okay, that's it, we're gonna do this now?
Well, in the year 2015, we traveled to Afghanistan for a whole different reason and came back with a big bag full of saffron. And at that point, we did not really have this idea of founding a company such as Conflictfood. This came up slowly. As soon as we arrived here, we thought, oh my God, there are so many conflict regions, we could travel to more destinations than just Afghanistan. So this idea was born when we came back from this trip 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was more a concept in our mind, but not we didn't have a business plan or something. But to answer your question,
yeah, when did it change?
The Next Organic was a real push. So
yeah.
We've had this concept, and then there was this competition, and a day later they called us, or there was an email, and so hey, you won the Next Organic Startup Award in the category of trade concept. And so, oh wow, okay. So what does that mean? So that means that you have a booth on our Next Organic exhibition.
Yeah.
And some interesting networking and coaching, and so we thought, okay, so when is your exhibition fair? And it was in May, so we thought, okay, when it's May, so we need a packaging, we need a store, we need a booth, we need everything.
Wow.
And then we need a website. And that was kind of the start.
So kind of when I guess when you win an award like this, then you have this kind of, okay, so people probably are really interested in that, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's cool.
Next to the Next Organic, we also won this scholarship from Social Impact Lab.
Right, yeah.
This incubator here in Berlin-Kreuzberg. That was also very, very helpful because they are supporting entrepreneurs in, well, every topic. So like what you have to do if you want to start a social business.
That's so good. It's probably really good to have that kind of community as well there,
right.
And all kind of different skills.
Yeah.
And then you decided to focus on the saffron from Afghanistan as a first product, right?
Yes.
So basically you launched that product, and the other one we talked about before, the 3K from Palestine, is coming soon. Kind of which story behind any of those two products has stuck with you the most?
Well, in Afghanistan, it was this story of these women, the independent women collective in Herat, which made the shift from opium to saffron. Well, first of all, we always have this one picture of women in Afghanistan. This is this burqa woman, oppressed, and a bearded man with guns, and we've been there, and it was a totally different picture we've had. Mm-hmm. So, and their story was really amazing because they came from very poor families, and to have this idea, so hey, we don't want to deal with drugs anymore, we want to do something legal, something with a future, to avoid this mafia structures. And this independency of these women was really impressive for us. So, and to be a part of the harvest season in early November, early morning, so like before sunrise.
Wow.
And to see how they collect and pick those flowers and go there to dry the flowers and get the saffron, it was really like, okay, this is a different world, and we want to tell this story with our saffron.
And it's also amazing to see that these women are so proud of their product, so proud of what they do, and that's exactly the story that we want to tell, that there is this independent women's collective doing their thing, being proud of their work, and what Conflictfood actually does is we are opening the market to them, a market which they did not have up to that point. They used to sell their product on the vegetable market in Herat, in the city of Herat, for a total different price. And what we do is we open the European market for them, and it's also really beautiful to see that the European market, especially the German market, is really appreciating this story and this product a lot.
I imagine, yeah. I mean, sounds like incredible experiences there. And
I also want to add something.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, in both countries, in Palestine and also in Afghanistan, we've experienced hospitality at its best. It was really amazing. The people are so open, like, hey, come for food, hey, come for dinner, like totally. Even strangers came up to us, or taxi drivers, so like, and really seriously invited us for dinner. So this will never happen here in Germany.
No,
that's right. Taxi driver or a bus guy will invite us. It was like really serious. So
and no matter if they come from a poor background or not, hospitality is taking very serious in Afghanistan and actually also in Palestine.
I imagine. I mean, this is why I hear that so much. I have quite a few friends who are involved in sustainable projects all around the world, go to really countries where people don't usually travel, and it's always that. And I had similar experience as well when I was traveling in really remote regions in India. Like, people are so poor and they still are so welcoming and they want to share everything. And that's just what the media, for example, never tell and always forget.
And this is actually exactly what we want to change, because with every product that we sell, you will find a whole newspaper that comes with the product. So, for example, with the saffron, you get a newspaper that we write ourselves together with our team here in Berlin, and we talk about the culture, the food, the hospitality. So, for example, Afghanistan is much more than Taliban and terror. There is also this amazing food. There is also people that are incredibly gifted and welcoming. So, in this newspaper, you read a bit more than other newspapers usually talk about.
I guess that's what totally drew me to you guys straight away is media always convey just that one picture, and you're actually showing a completely different side. Like in the saffron from Afghanistan package, I saw this story about the parkour boys of Kabul, and I thought this is awesome. Like, you never think about, of course, things like this exist there too, but you just forget about. So, I mean, just jumping back a little bit, what are 3 facts or 3 major things, values that you want the listeners out there to know about Conflictfood?
So, our work is trading with small-scale farmers in conflict regions. So we want, and Gernot told us, it's opening them new markets and strengthen the local structures. And but I think the main thing, it's not only to sell the products, it's more about to show also the customers and our clients here the other stories, and to give them a new picture of these countries, like from Palestine and Afghanistan. And it's a trading with a deep social aspect. We've had this question once, so trading and social responsibility, how does that work? So I think, why do you divide those?
Exactly.
This is totally a wrong approach.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
Trading and be social, it's very important for us, and to give something back to the society and to the people. Trading on eye level, it's not only to take, it's also to share and to show the beautiful sides of these countries.
Well, what's important to us is also that we trade directly. There is no middleman involved, and this is usually not the case when you trade with spices or tea or coffee usually. So this direct trade enables these farmers in conflict regions that they have a bit of money available, and that in the case of Afghanistan means that these women can send their kids to school. Some of them even go to university in Herat, and that's beautiful to see that there is this change in this village possible, and they don't need to produce opium, they don't need to be part of this, let's call it a vicious circle or whatever, this kind of mafia structures.
I think it's very important to show or to tell the people here also that our consumption is always a political act. So if you buy something, you have to be sure that this has an impact, a positive,
definitely.
or mostly a very negative impact, and that we have to keep this in mind and to change. So if you buy cheap things, someone else is paying the rest of the bill.
Yeah.
And this is you have to take care of this. Or not.
Very true. It's very, very true. It's a very good point. And definitely, like, I mean, you guys, you've been right there. You've been at the spot. You're in contact with these people, which I think is such a great thing to know as well. What would you say was the initial trigger for you actually to come up with that whole idea and to start Conflictfood?
Well, we have been to Afghanistan end of 2015, and we've visited an orphanage. And this orphanage, my father is the founder of this orphanage.
Wow!
And he invited us to come there, and the idea was to make new pictures and interviews for their website, so they can get money from fundings and. Donators. So, and there we had a meal with saffron. I said, I love my saffron. And then one of my family members said, it's saffron harvest season. I said, oh, interesting. And then later we've heard from this woman collective in Herat. I said, oh, okay, what are they doing? So they made the shift from opium to saffron, and they are independent. I said, oh, interesting, independent woman in Afghanistan. That's a new thing for me, because you don't hear this in Europe.
True.
And let's go and contact this NGO and visit these women. And then we've been there in this really small village, and we were very excited and impressed by these women and their work. So we visited them again and again, and then we decided, okay, let's buy this saffron. And through the saffron, we want to tell the other story. So, well, now we know this concept more and better and clearly, but there was just very vague.
Yeah.
So, and that was the start of Conflictfood.
That's the first starting point. Yeah. Okay. Diving in, maybe you mentioned it already a little bit, but just diving a bit deeper into your whys. Like, I want to know and feel what drives you most to run and grow Conflictfood, and like what makes you jump out of bed each morning and stay motivated?
Well, we want to change some things here in the world in a very small scale, of course, but because we are a small social company. But
everything has an impact.
Yes, right. You can also wake up every morning, complaining about all these evil things happening in the world, or you stand up and try to change something. Yes. So, and I think this is, and everybody has some skills to do his impact. And this is our approach to make a change. And and we could also make it much easier. So, like if I just want to sell agriculture products, I don't need to go to Afghanistan or to Palestine. Personally, it's not. I don't have to do this, but I want to do more. It's not just selling products. It's just I want to change some things.
That's awesome. Yeah, that would have been a question, because I mean I know it's just lying there in front of us. It's this beautiful box, saffron from Afghanistan, and it has this beautiful newspaper, this magazine that we talked about before. And
Should
it's
we
super.
Open it or?
Yeah, let me open it.
Let's unbox it.
It's just so much more than just buying a pack of saffron. Like, you open it, you have
some recipe card.
Oof. Yeah, you have some recipe cards there. Wow, with really impressive photos on it, and like so much love to detail in there. And it's just a really nice gift as well. It's just so much more than this one ingredient that has a positive impact. Like, what makes you go that extra step instead of simply selling the food product itself?
Yeah, a lot of companies are selling just products and with destroying like the environment in those countries, or like not fairly paid people working for them. And we said, oh no, we want to make a difference, and we just not only want to sell products, we want to give the people there an economically perspective and strengthen local structures. And very important to show ways out of poverty, and they have a wonderful product, these women in Afghanistan, and said, okay, this wonderful product, we want to package it also very wonderful. We have wonderful products from London and from Paris and from Berlin, very well designed and well packed, and we said, okay, also products from Afghanistan or countries from Africa or South Asia also has the right to be presented nicely.
So true.
So, and then we also want to show the customers here the other stories. So with our newspaper, with the packaging, so there is more to explore and to find out. And
I would like to add that in the beginning we had this idea of having the package produced in the country of origin as well.
Yeah, right.
But we tried hard, but it did not work out. The structures in Afghanistan, for example, are not prepared for having packages produced in a nice way up to now. This is
there's
unfortunately there is no companies producing anything right now. I mean, an interesting fact is that even burqas are produced in China and imported to Afghanistan, which is a bizarre piece of information.
Yeah, you would think differently. Like you would think there's so much handicraft and
there's no industry, there's no craftsmanship, nothing.
Right.
Everything is destroyed. Everything is.
Imagine 40 years of war.
Yeah.
They don't leave many factories standing.
True. So where do you do it?
We decided differently. We decided to have the product itself shipped to Berlin, and we have all our packages produced here in Berlin in a workshop for people with mental and physical disabilities.
Oh wow! Yeah.
So it's all handmade.
Yeah.
It's an old technique, old book.
Wow. Book binding
technique.
Wow.
So we thought that this would kind of close this social circle in a way. So
it does, and the quality feels really awesome.
To take a lot of effort in this whole box and in this whole pieces of information that come with it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Really, really good. And I mean, can you also talk a bit about that, the Kabul story, like about the parkour boys?
Well, those Kabul parkour boys we met when we were
visiting this former parliament palace in Kabul. And
we had, let's say, a touristy day, and all of a sudden we run into these guys jumping and running and flipping, and we were wondering what's going on there. So we were talking to them, what are you guys doing here? And it turns out that they are a group of 25 young people that meet there regularly and do their sports and do their parkour moves there. We were extremely impressed to see what these boys are doing there. So the idea was to write about them and also to support them by organizing a charity dinner that we did a couple of weeks ago here in a restaurant in Berlin, in To Beef or Not to Beef. And that was quite a success because we were more than overbooked for that.
We've had live music, and it was really, really nice and private setting with
more than 55 people that were interested in the story of the Kabul parkour boys.
Were they there?
One of them.
Cool.
Founders,
Very
one
nice.
of the founders was there. He flew from Afghanistan a year ago, and now he lives in Düsseldorf, and he came to join us for this evening.
That's awesome.
He could talk about all these hopes and wishes of the group, because the problem with the young people in Afghanistan is that there is hardly any job perspective going on. There is so much poverty, and that turns so many of the young crowd into drugs, because opium or heroin is quite common, because it grows there and you get it quite cheap. So drugs are a problem. Unemployment is a huge problem, and this is even more impressive to see that these boys meet there regularly to do their sports and acrobatic moves, to not be torn into this drug scene too much.
Oh wow! Okay, so that's the background of them too.
Yeah, to show an alternative.
Nice. You're really bridging between cultures there. That's really, really amazing.
And we are actually proud to say that all this benefit of this dinner that we had a couple of weeks ago, we will hand it over to the boys when we will be in Afghanistan
November.
next time. So this November we will be there again to meet them and to help them with a
Amazing.
little bit of money so they can afford proper sports equipment, and so that they can also rent an indoor facility, because up to now only boys can join in.
Right.
Public space is not so common for girls to do their sports
I
moves.
imagine.
So they will rent indoor facilities and will do their parkour sports together with parkour girls.
How awesome, man. Are you going to make a story about that?
Of course, you will read about that on our blog.
Very good, very good. All right. Now, just quickly, I'd love to give us a little look behind the scenes in terms of take us into that journey of how you find or decide for your next food product. Like, what's the process behind choosing the one ingredient that makes a certain region unique? Like, is there any, or is it kind of a gut feeling, or like what's most important to you?
Well, for example, Palestine, we traveled with this idea of let's find olive oil farmers, let's bring olive oil to Germany, because the olive tree, the oil tree is literally in the Bible or in history. It's an extremely important plant. So we thought of let's find olive tree farmers, but that was on the one hand not so easy to find in it, and on the other hand it's there is so much olive oil existing in Europe, and it's also subsidized by the EU, so you find quite cheap and still decent Greek or Spanish olive oil in the EU. So we decided differently. We at one night we had a really nice dinner with something strange on our plate, and it turns out it was fricke, a product, a grain that we haven't had before, because it's quite unique for the region of Syria, Palestine, Jordan.
Yeah, it's a pretty ancient thing, isn't it?
Yeah. It is. It's well known since centuries already in that region, and it's a grain that you harvest when it's still unripe and green.
Green, it's standing here in front of us. It looks a bit like it makes like green wheat or green rice or something like that. Yeah. How does it taste?
It's it has a very nutty, smoky, munchy flavor.
Yeah.
It's smoky because you burn it. You literally burn this green grains. So that it's conserved and stays fresh for longer, and it keeps all these positive ingredients like fiber and protein inside, and it's delicious.
Right. So you decided to do this instead of the olive
because
oil.
it's something very new. So you cannot find it here in the German.
Something very old, but something very new. Exactly.
But on the other hand, it's also interesting to know that the Palestinian farmers struggle with so many problems. One of which is that there is hardly any water to water the plants, and this product does not need that much water because you harvest it quite early, and you don't need to water the plant for the whole time, and that's quite efficient for those farmers. So they keep focusing on this product. It's kind of it's getting more and more famous in Palestine as well because of this water issue. And this is why we think it tells an important story about the situation in Palestine, and we decided to pick this product.
That's so good, such a good approach, and also it really feeds into, first of all, especially here, people in Berlin, but I think in general, they jump on stuff that's new, that they don't know, and they want to try. And then, like, the food scene especially is, I have the feeling, going a bit towards, okay, I want to eat something more sustainable. So the fact that you just mentioned that it needs less water is, like, super important. I mean, for Palestine especially, but also in general for our whole world, I guess. It's great.
To be honest, I have this feeling that food scene also in Berlin is quite focusing on fresh and new and interesting stuff that's let's call it superfood. And sometimes people don't really look behind the curtain and see that all kinds of superfood actually are not always the best decision. Take avocados, take quinoa. It's not helpful for the countries of origin to produce them like crazy, and this fricke is a solution to do good in the country of origin, I think.
Nice. That's awesome.
So I'm not sure, should we call it superfood or not?
Well, we are not so a friend of this word of superfood because this is very marketing and name, but because every food is super. So if you have an apple in the desert, it's a superfood. So, people call it superfood. Well,
it is one basically in terms of like if you look into what the term actually should mean, it definitely is, and it may help the market, but I think it's great and important that you actually tell the story behind it. Right. Now, tell me, what is it that you're feeling most grateful for related to your work at Conflictfood?
We had a really, really, really positive feedback of what we are doing, and that is really amazing. I honestly didn't expect this. I just thought, okay, I'm doing a bit my business here and try to find a balanced way for all to do something good. And but it was overwhelming, so that a lot of people want to share this idea, and talking was like you, so they called us and said, hey, what a cool project, let's talk about it a bit. So it's I think that the people want a change in general, and there are a lot of small or a bit bigger companies that want to show us it is something happening in the world and that is not so great and good, so let's try to find a solution together, because politicians and the global players are not doing this.
Bam! So, I so agree with this.
Okay, if they don't do it, so someone has to do it, so let's do it together, so step by step. And
this was actually never the intention to do that on purpose.
No.
It just
happened.
Just small, tiny little steps, one after the other, and all of a sudden it turns out that we do not work in our jobs anymore. We work for and with Conflictfood now. And that's a beautiful.
It's kind of your calling now.
It is somehow.
Nice.
And it's really beautiful to see that all our customers appreciate it a lot. We get so much positive feedback and so much good energy.
From everywhere. People want to join us, help us, be part of this, and it's amazing.
That's really amazing. It's truly amazing, and it really shows us. I totally agree with this, that we should not. I mean, it's also important to put a bit of pressure on politicians and stuff, but we should not wait for them to act.
We waited too long.
And everyone is waiting and everyone is moaning and upset about them, but then just do something. We all have power. We can all make an impact, especially now that the internet is out there and lots of possibilities are out there to independently just start a movement, and I think that's what you do.
And it can also be tiny little steps. You don't need to change the world within a day. It can be just tiny little ideas that you change each and every day, and that can already be enough.
So true.
So big shout out, live your change, do it.
Exactly.
It's fun.
It is. I can totally vouch for that. All right, so now just before we get to the last final bit, let's just switch direction a little bit again to the Berlin factor. Why do you think that Berlin is the right place to get people excited about stories and foods from conflict regions?
Berlin is very international. We had a lot of influences from all over the world, and the people are very curious and interested in new things. And you have a great food scene now since a couple of years, and fantastic restaurants and cafes. So you have a very, very vital startup scene, so also a lot of food-related startups are trying here to do something, to change something.
Is that helpful?
It is helpful. It's very this networking and the exchange of ideas is very fruitful, and Berlin. It's a very good base to start something. And you have this next organic exhibition here. You have a lot of markets like the Stadtland Food Festival or the Markthalle 9. It's very well known. So it's a lot of things happening here in this food scene. And
I think also a good possibility, like with those kind of pop-up dinners.
Right,
people
pop-up dinners
are really into that, I guess.
Cafes, restaurants, or where we've been to Hamburg, for example. I love Hamburg. But well, it's a bit difficult there. So to start something new, but I hope that the ideas and concepts that developing here in Berlin, not only we, so just also other companies, is going to spread all over Germany and Europe and the world. So
I hope so. Yeah, sometimes I have the impression that Berlin is kind of like the little testing ground, testing hub.
It's a big lab.
Exactly, because it's still possible to try things out, and it's very open, and Is there like any? What was the most exciting or important connection you made here?
Well, the scholarship of Social Impact Lab was really, really helpful. Like 9 months of coaching was fantastic for us because we hadn't any ideas of entrepreneurship or to start a social company. That was really good. And
also now the office that we share here in
the Migration Hub.
The Migration Hub network is an extremely positive and beautiful energy going on here. And actually, each and every day in this city of Berlin, you bump into these crazy and interesting and sometimes annoying, but still crazy, positive people.
Yes.
And this keeps me excited, and this is what I love on a daily basis.
So true.
People are very open here for new ideas and for fun and for concepts, and it's very always every day is like kind of a surprise. So what's happening today? So let's see. So you cannot find it in small villages somewhere in the province. So it's Berlin. It's a capital, and it's very nice to be here.
So true. I think you perfectly rounded it up. What I feel about it too. It's really it's a perfect summary. I have nothing to add to that. All right, we're slowly coming towards the end. Thanks so much for keeping up your energy. And there are a few things that I always ask, like basically all of my interview guests. The first thing is, what was your biggest learning so far? Your biggest aha moment?
Every day is a learning.
I guess so.
One learning is definitely that things take their time. You cannot change the world from one day to the other, and sometimes this is I want change to happen much faster, but this doesn't, and this makes me a bit almost angry. But well, I cannot change that. So things take their time. That's a learning.
Yeah, I I can very much relate to this. Things always take longer than you think, and then you expect, and then you think they could do, and definitely agree on that.
Well, another learning is now since we are entrepreneurs, it's everything all of a sudden evolves around money. You need so much money to invest into production, into trade, and also that's something that we cannot provide that quickly. We don't have any investors in our background, and we do not want that, so we do it slowly as well.
All right. Okay, next question. If you could change one thing in Berlin within the next 24 hours, what would it be?
Okay.
I miss the seaside here.
Right.
Very good point.
Can you change that for us, please?
I'll try my best.
Well, the city is changing that very quick anyway, very fast. So I'm excited to what's going to happen next.
Okay, cool. Now, what is a question I should have asked you but didn't?
You could have asked us about our next step that we are planning.
Our next country.
Okay, so what is it?
It's not just Afghanistan, it's not just Palestine that we will feature. We are preparing our next travel to the country of Myanmar. And that's our next conflict region that we travel to, and we are in contact with a lot of farmers already, a lot of NGOs and
How exciting.
And the peace NGOs and then food NGOs there. So
I love that. And can you already give a hint on what kind of
it's not so clear. So
okay.
There is a big tea scene, of course, and Myanmar also features a very, very special kind of tea. It's a pickled tea that you will only find in the country of Myanmar. It's a Burmese specialty. What else is quite interesting? There is so many spices such as lemongrass, such as nutmeg, and all kinds of beautiful flavors you will find.
Lemongrass and star anise, and cardamom.
So we will meet many small-scale farmers, many people in the food scene there. We will try all different kinds of tastes and spices and vegetables there. So
amazing.
Let's wait another couple of months till you find this in our store. So latest September, check our online shop. You will find it there.
Definitely. I put a link to the online shop in the show notes, of course. And I'm very excited that you're going to this part of the world too. I think there's a lot of stories to be told, I guess. All right. Last question. If there was one thing you could pass on to the GreenMe Berlin community, like the people out there listening, just anything that comes to your mind, any message, what would it be?
Well, if you're fond of our idea and fond of our concept, and if you
want to join us, support us,
if you want to volunteer for a couple of days or weeks, we are looking for helping hands.
Oh, great!
in all fields of work,
of all aspects,
starting from IT all the way to marketing, all the way to sales. We are a tiny little but fun team here in Berlin Mitte. If you want to join us, write us.
Awesome. So how can you best get in touch with you?
Well, Facebook or our email address on our website. It's info@conflictfood.com.
Okay,
and
awesome.
We have also our phone number. It's also on our website.
Yeah.
So just call us, write us, visit us. We need your help.
Don't be shy. Yes, people out there, you heard it.
And if you had a great idea in mind, just try to realize this idea. It's possible. If you want to change, it's nothing. It's too weird to do.
Exactly. Yeah, I love that. Salam, Gernot. That is an awesome line to finish, I would say. It's like lots of important messages that you passed on throughout the whole interview that we all should take on and live by more. And I cannot say how grateful I am for the chance to learn more about you and your amazing work. You guys are doing such an incredible job in bridging cultures and cultivating peace, and man, I wish the world had just more of that. I deeply acknowledge you for what you're doing and hope that many people out there feel inspired by this too, and that they come and support you and the farmers by buying your products, by getting involved, by spreading the word. And I wish you lots and lots of energy for growing it and bringing us more of these beautiful, positive stories that the media don't tell.
We try our best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for all these clever questions. Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm still blown away by all of this. It's so beautiful to see how open-minded, positive-thinking people are putting all their heart and energy into a project that makes a difference out there. And I don't know about you, but I could just feel this drive and passion of Salam and Gernot, and this deeply rooted feeling that we can all do our parts. I have taken away so much from these two and hope that you did too. If you want to support them, get in touch with them or with me, and the easiest thing to do so is to A, buy the product, and B, even easier, to share this episode out with your friends and anyone you think should know about this too. Now it's time to call it a wrap. And as always, you'd make me super happy if you subscribe to the podcast and leave me a little review on iTunes. It really helps to keep me going and would just be such a wonderful support from your side. Thanks so much. Oh, one more news from my side. If you're in Berlin on the 29th of April, I'm doing a green tour through my home key, South Neukölln, where I want to show people the amazing eco-minded project that this area is really filled with. We say hi and chat to the founders of some creative sustainable food concepts, ethical fashion stores and transform spaces and more, and get an insight into their work and why they do it. Plus, we might discover my favorite place, one of my favorite places in the city no, I'm not gonna tell it yet. Just, we might put some wheels under our feet, which is not a must, but it would be fun. So if you're in town, I'd be really happy if you join. It'll take 3 to 3.5 hours and cost 25 euros. Spots are very limited because I think it's much better to do it in a small group. And you can find all the info and tickets on my Facebook page under events. And last shout out promise, if you want to stay up to date with the latest interviews, green events and fresh content from me and my explorations around going green in Berlin, then sign up for my monthly newsletter. I got a little thank you if you do so. I'll send you a best of guide to 7 of my favorite eco-minded places in the city. To get it, just go over to greenmeberlin.com/newsletter. That's it! Have an amazing day, full of inspiration and power, and remember to keep it green!